Hello, my name is Casey Francis O'Brien, and I wanted to update everybody really quick that I did that tarot reading for myself maybe a month or two ago. And I was trying to interpret what I saw. I remember the way that I structured it and the cards that came out. If you wanted to look back on it. And it's given me a new perspective on how tarot works, especially for me, because everything in the universe is personalized, and it comes to you sort of like we have condensed ourselves from something much greater than ourselves. So we are, in a sense, God, and we are the universe, but we are also the universe condensed, experiencing itself, if that makes sense. So sort of like you created the amusement park ride, but you purposefully forgot that you made it so that you could experience it for the first time in a bunch of different ways. But the way that it came out in the tarot, I was trying to imagine it like changes in the narrative energy. So let's say the big example is that I pulled out this two queens, and then I pulled out the Emperor and the Empress, or just a male and female energy. Maybe it was High Emperor, High Priest. No, it was. I know the Emperor and the King of Wands was lower down here, but up here there was a strong male and female archetype. And then there was this decision that brought justice from the universe and healing. And then I placed my favorite cards, the King of Wands and the Hierophant, at the bottom of everything. And I thought those could be like other people and their experiences. I was thinking it would be changes in one soul's journey. Like it would become this and then it would become that. How it actually turned out is that those archetypes, because I know the major arcana in those cards are supposed to be representative of changes in a soul's journey along the hero's journey. How it came into my life, just the one example, let's say, the way that I looked at the cards when that strong male and female spiritual archetypes popped out, I thought it was a transition, but what it actually was the way that I was looking at those cards. Those cards became characters in my life. I met those energies that I felt, and I thought that it was dealing with one soul, but really those cards that came out were literal people, and the way that I placed them, the distance from my eyes, making the distance of the cards spread out, was how they were literally sitting in front of me. And everything in that tarot deck, that tarot reading, happened in one day. I was reading how the Celtic Music Festival was going to go. When I look back at the story of that whole day, that movie of being in the Celtic Fest, the way that those cards came out were actually the scenes of that day. The way it started, the people that I met, and then the actions that were taken, and how it revolved around my favorite cards. And when I was intuitively guided to place them, became my perspective on those unfolding. I won't go into what happened, but I wanted to say that I really learned a better way to see. I was trying to read it like the tarot readers that I watch, which are like one of them's a Taurus, one of them's a Leo, one of them's all air signs. So the way that they read it, I was trying to make it work. But when I incorporated it and I read it from my stuff, which is deep in the scorpionic energy with this Sagittarius. So I'm in the 8th house, but it's all in Scorpio, which is the darkest waters. And it has to do with transformation. And that added Sagittarius really brings this ascended master quality to everything, this rejuvenation all the time. With the Aquarius being in Capricorn, 4 different houses, brings me to this exalted, detached space, sort of like disassociated behind myself, and my body is like maybe 5% of my experience on Earth. Most of it is in another realm completely. And I sort of just like pilot this. When I detached from the air sign of the Leo ways of seeing it, that perspective, and I shifted it into the momentum of Sagittarius moving through that dark scorpionic energy, which I love it. I love the way that feels. To get that deep emotion, but with this always pushing back of this righteous, it just makes I have to animate it to show you. But it feels like swimming through the multiverse, like quantum surfing. So instead of trying to read it like up there and starting to see it as out here that I'm traveling through, it really showed me everything, even down to the universe and the justice and the hanged man coming through with those teachers that I met. And I was expecting it to be, even that day, in this random town, I always, and I'm not bragging, but I always seem to, like, as I'm going through my story, and my story is usually where I figure out how easy it is for me to lead people to battle, and lead people to a better life, and the sort of higher level of thinking, but then really struggling with the everyday social interactions. Like, I can't really I have trouble just shooting the shit with people. But if like when shit would go down, I always sprang up and I fixed it for everybody. And I was like, I'm like a stable force for people that helps them. And even if they do steal the energy and take it, and I feel like empty because they tried to take me from myself, they tried to redirect it. It always is, as I exit, there's a detachment where what's meant for me comes back to me. And I leave with it, and I go back up my mountain. I ascend back from the dark waters back to my exalted Aquarius moon. This whole town is really the extension of myself. Where I'm going up and down this mountain to my exalted Aquarius and Capricorn, the earth sign with the air, out there dealing with the high level stuff, and then I go down into the town to the dark waters, and I uplift everybody, inspire people, I perform. I wish I brought it. I would do another one. I just wanted to say that I would say don't get in the way of what the universe has meant for you. A lot of people try to exert their own will into it, and that disrupts it. Just let it be. Stop trying to control everything. And sit back and enjoy it. And you'll find that you're more free to operate that way. That's why I think everyone should have a creative habit, a creative hobby, so they can get it out in a way that's healthy and not imposing on other people. When people don't have a creative hobby, most people tend to throw that into their relationships. If they don't have something they can work on every day and build upon, they start to look for other avenues to do that, and that can get really rapey really quick. So I mean, that bug was right to left for me, but it's probably left to right for you. All the bugs are kind of coagulating around the phone. I've been getting inspiration. I don't for a long time because I'm in the fight, and then when I get back into it, it changes me into a stronger person, and that stronger sense of self, it's kind of like a horse running through a dark field. Or like, yeah, I would say a horse right now. And then the horse turns into an eagle after it masters that. It usually shifts up into the eagle or whatever. There's just a constant changing. Like sometimes it's like a guy on a horse going to battle against like a native man with long hair on a horse. Sometimes it's like a polar bear and a bunch of wolves around it. Sometimes it's like an eagle and a bunch of crows. Sometimes it's a horse running alone. But it's always changing. So when it changes, my gifts come in different waves. I think there's a lot of different stuff I'm doing here. A lot of it, it's just animalistic. Like even when I'm not trying to be, and I go, like when I audit my day at the end of the day, when I'm back in the tent at night and I audit what I did that day, it's pretty much, even if I'm going to the store and having a conversation with somebody, and I look back through how that felt in spirit, even though I was talking to them, the spiritual emotional thing felt more like an eagle flying in to grab its food. So I can't really escape it. I don't know if that's my spirit team, or if that's me, or if that's the culmination of my past lives all working together. That's what feels right. But my day-to-day, it's never normal. It's legendary. I have no way to describe what the names are, other than if we're in Revelations and the soul is on a journey, and the journey has to do with education into awakening. If I had been, and we've all been through many past lives where a lot of this higher level stuff was hidden from us, the occult stuff about the truth of reality, and something greater than ourselves is trying to wake us up, it would do so in way, it would meet us where we're at. So where I'm at, I figured out that we're dreaming through the pattern of realizing that every experience and every sequence, every season of my personal life TV show or story, every cycle, they made it obvious by adding the same names. And the same names had the same function, even though the physical body was different, the energetic body was the same. And I got that over and over again until I realized that pattern, and then I was able to ascend to a higher level of this experience where I was able to see more about what the universe, really, the possibilities. If I hadn't, when I don't hold that higher awakening, that's when Brian shows up outside my property. And the guy behind Brian is wearing a prosthetic mask. and then we never see him again. That put me on high alert to the realization that, okay, so before that instance with Brian and the guy with the mask, that freaked me out for a month. I couldn't move for a month because I was like, what is real and what isn't? Am I being watched? Am I being followed? Is it a cult? Is it like a secret society? Masons that live outside of this, and then this is like an illusion, and they're fucking with us, and we're like Total Drama Island, where a reality show for them, where they experiment on us. But then I remembered that a month or two prior, I had the dream where I met all of my friends I had really missed in my life, that I really wanted to speak to. And I had a dream where I talked about the vivid Scorpio energy, but the Sagittarius moving, adventuring through it. I had a dream where I was adventuring through these like vivid, deep, colorful scenes. Like everything was brighter and more vivid. And the people that I missed were there. I've been missing them for 10 years. I've been like feeling like missing them and searching for them for 10 years, and they've all moved on with their lives. They didn't deserve me. But I got to see them and speak to them and see that, yeah, they still are too dark to really see me, and my existence makes them angry because they don't want to change, or maybe sometimes I'm too overwhelming when I enter a room that it makes everybody recluse in anger, which is why I need a big open forest by myself. But I got to speak to all of them, and they spoke to me, and I had these like karmic healing things where I got to speak my heart to people and talk to them, like do what I've always wanted to do spiritually, like get it out there. And at the end of it, when I was about to leave, it was a school. It was like an old school, because I knew them when I was in school. At the end of it, when I turned around and I'm about to leave the school, like in a video game jump scare where they turn the camera around to show the monster, but it was all of them. But they were all cardboard cutouts. They weren't real. And then one thing peered out from behind one of the cardboard cutouts, and there was nothing else there. It was just one entity. And that was the entity that I see in the woods. This like humanoid silhouette, but made completely of like grayish shimmering energy. And it just peered the same way it peered his head out of the woods to be like, hey, the other day. In the dream, it peered out from behind the cardboard cutout. And I realized that, okay, this 2D cardboard cutout had a 3D thing behind it, and it was fake. I thought that those people were real, but I was speaking to that thing. So in real life, I think that they're third-dimensional beings, but really they're the fourth-dimensional thing behind it. And in my case, it's the same thing, pretending to be all of these things. All of these people with the same names that just keep showing up over and over and over and over again. Like, when I was 13, I really wanted to be friends with the Keyhoes, Sam and Alex and Megan, but they were always hanging out with their friends Noah and Vincent. And I just wasn't a cool kid because they were older. Fast forward 2018, I get back in contact with Alex, and he's still friends with Vinny and Noah, and it doesn't go well. Then 2019 happens. Oh, and that's when I was dating Gary. And then 2019 happens, I leave Garrett for Chloe, and Chloe, I had a brain injury. Chloe brings me to a guy named Vinny's house, and she leaves me in the passenger seat, puts her hair down, checks her makeup, and then goes in. She doesn't wear makeup, but she checked her face for some reason, and then went in. And putting her hair down as she went in, and I was out there for probably an hour. Even though he was like 5'4" or whatever. And then that was the start of the relationship. And then at the end of the relationship, the last time I saw her, We hooked up, and then as soon as we were done hooking up, instead of just being there and hanging out, she got up and said, "I'm going to Alex's house. Goodbye." And then she was dating a guy named Alex. And she was sleeping with a guy named Alex. She was cheating on a guy named Gary with both of us. So we have Gary, Vincent, and Alex over and over again. Back in 2013, my dad's name is Gary, so he was the prominent Leo Libra in my life. And then Garrett is a Libra, and her brother's name is Leo. And then I'm sure I could look in and figure out that Vinny's a Libra and Alex is a Leo or something like that. And then the next cycle is the winter of 2023, and I'm stuck out in that field, and Vincent, who's a Leo, is this schizophrenic 30-year-old man that says he's a wolf that lives behind a gas station, and he's shooting at me with a 22 and hacking trees down in front of my car and saying, "This is you," and hacking trees down and then firing a 22 off at me. And I have to go talk to Patrick to try to convince his manager, like, this guy needs help. Calling the police and being like, "You gave him a 22? He's shooting at me with it." All that drama. And then Patrick was his manager. The guy who gave me my car was also named Patrick. And then to escape that, I would go to this vape shop in the plaza past the field. I had to get past this DoorDasher named John Sanderson who said he was a witch that was spiritually taking my life force, and that's why everywhere I parked he would show up like he had a tracker on me or something, and he'd get right next to me and he would just take it from me. He would start taking it from me and I'd feel it, and I couldn't fight back. I couldn't get violent with the guy. But eventually I would move past him and I'd get to this vape shop, and the girl's name was Alex. And she would help me with all this other stuff. And when I would go there, she would be playing things on the big TVs behind the vape shop. And the one time I went in where it was simulation breaking and she spoke to me like she had known me my whole life, there were two big giant flat screens on the wall above the counter, and one of them was playing Bob's Burgers, Robert Baratheon's based off Brian Boru. And then we have just this commercial that kept playing, and it was just bright golden and white, and it was just a blonde mother holding a child. And then on the other screen, on Bob's Burgers, it was a rave, and the guy leading the rave had a deer head on, like Cernunnos or Ball, and it was a gay thing, like the gay music industry that's centered around Satan worship, or the blonde mother holding the child. Now this year, last year, 2024, when I got here, all that drama, but Casey at Capstone and Ray at the Rumor Has It were helping me against these rumors that were causing people to get violent. I tried to reach out to that 13, when I was 13, that Alex, and it didn't work out. A girl named Taylor hit me up, and she said I was really attractive, she liked me, but there were so many drug addicts and bad energy around that I couldn't function, and I fucked it up. And she ended up getting with some guy named Wes, who was like 10 years older than her. And then this year, I went to the Celtic Music Festival. Oh, back then with the Casey, somebody had spray painted the name Alex with demon fangs and a smiley face, but the eyes looked like the number 11, so I just saw a circle around 11. And Alex is an 11 life path. The original Alex from 2013. And now, at the Celtic Music Festival, I met the girl who spray painted that Alex, and she was volunteering with me. And I ended up spending the whole day, she's blonde, I ended up spending the whole time talking to her, because it felt like therapy for me. Instead of walking around crazy, I could get it out talking to her and her friend Eric. And the way they were sitting, and the exact distance from me was the same way that I saw in the tarot reading. And I said there were two options. The other option is that there was a cop named Taylor that was walking around that wasn't really talking to anybody. And I was like, I should go talk to her. So we have Alex and Taylor again. Alex's last name was the same first name of the character in the TV show I was watching at night. And then there was Eric, and then the guy that got me the job there was named Eric, and his last name is the same as my mom's last name. So we have Alex Taylor, my mom's last name, which is like Vincent, Vicky, but the last name there. And then Eric's wife's name is Kendra. So we have Ken again. Like Ken at the 33 North Main Street with the mountain lion stuffed animal, the barbershop. Then we had Ken. And we had Lynn, like lion. And I forgot the other guy's name. At Hilltop, exalted on the hill, O'Brien. And then we had Kendrick and Drake. And then before that we had Ken and Heather at the other motel. And then there's just a bunch going all the way back. Probably before 2013, but it really kicked off for me. Like I remember it vividly in 2013. And 2013 was, hold on. I think 2013 was also the year of the snake. Because I'm talking about the end of 2013 into 2014 was when it all started. And that's when the cycle begins, from horse to snake. They say rat to pig, but really it's horse to snake because the snake sheds its skin and then it rebirths the cycle. That's the snake with the, you know what I'm talking about? So this past 12 years, that story has been replayed. And what's the meaning? I would say that Alex is something that I'm trying to become something, and they're a roadblock. There's like a disrespect, even if the relationship is loving and kind. The overarching theme of what happens when the Alex came into my life wasn't positive, but it drove me to a better place. And then Vinny, always like my mom Vicky and Vinny, it always seems like a direct attack. It's not a righteous shining of a light, it's a trying to blind me and keep me from seeing, keep me from myself. I'm seeing other instances of Alex. We also have Aaron and Dan has been coming up a lot. Aaron, Aaron, or Erin, Aaron, Ireland. And Dan has been coming up over and over and over again. And Robin. Like the parents of those Keyhoes, the Irish horse family, is Dan and Robin. And now I had a Robin and I was by a river. Like Daniel means river. The River Daniel. And then when I didn't have the Dan, Aaron, Robin, and I was taken into DCF custody, I went to a shelter, and the two staff that would sit with me and we'd make jokes all night were Dan and Aaron. And then when I got out of that retreat, when I got out of that shelter and I moved to the retreat, and when I got out of the retreat, I was doing this, right? And then the bug. Dan and Aaron on Game Grumps got me through that. And then after that, and I got kind of sick of Game Grumps, I started dating a girl named Danielle. My sister's name is also Danielle. And then all the way back when I was born, and my grandmother gave my father a triplex with 40 cabins and a 4-story barn, the first family that moved in, I mean, my sister came to visit, Danielle, and her kids. But a family moved in, Brian, his son Brian, his daughter Jada, his daughter Kyra came later, and then Tyler, and then his wife Danielle. So we had 2 O'Briens, 2 Bryans, 2 Danielles. And then we had an Ari, a Jesse, and a Melissa. I dated 4 girls named Jessie. Okay, 4 girls named Jessie. In that time I dated Jessie was it was the winter before, it was the winter of 2022. And I met Jessie in Leo season, and she had a son named Vinny with a guy named Isaac, and then Garrett left me for a guy named Isaac in 2019. So it's just over and over and over again. And it's not like it branches off in different directions. It's that those are all the branches, I guess. Or I guess maybe the birds around the tree. It's not like it's one specific thing. It's like I'm always just revolving around the same garden. And the seasons change, but the plants stay the same. So the faces and the setting changes, the bodies, the physical changes, but the energy is always there. I mean, if it's next year is the next cycle, so maybe it won't be there. But it's still happening. Like even yesterday or 2 days ago, I was meditating and I was being bothered by the memory of people with the name Owen in their name. So my old mentor, Owen Cook, who turned out to be, I thought because of his red hair, he was like Irish, but then he turned out to be really, like, he's a spiritual leader, but he's obsessed with Vikings and conquest and dominating. And I realized that was a detriment to me. And then we had Owen Kehoe was back with the Kehoes in 2013. And then we had Owen Cook came back up again and helped me through life. And then Owen Mulligan was a pedophile that held me at gunpoint. It was really creepy. And because he was getting money, my family chose him over me. They character assassinated me and started dick riding this pedophile because they were hoping he would get the money or validation. They chose a literal enemy just to hurt me more for some reason. They're just retards. Then after Owen, when Owen was in the picture, in between that, there's a guy named Rowan that keeps attacking me on the internet. And he really attacks my self-worth because trying to talk to him and empathize with him and like try to figure it out, it always feels like spiritually heavy attacks from him. And I have to work through it and be like, it's not him, it's myself. And for some reason, like, I feel bad about him, and that got to weigh in for him to attack me, even though he's a very sick guy. And he would try to drain me, and then went off that high that he got from draining me, he would use it to try to increase his public perception and his ego. The same way Owen said he was a necromancer that was trying to steal my life force, and Owen Cook Turns out his whole thing is ritualistically. He started off as a sex addict pickup artist. So this manipulation to increase their power keeps coming up. But I was meditating about how much that was getting in my way, and I was asking God for a way to rectify that. Like, give me my power back. And then the next day, I got a call from Walmart, and a girl named Owen called me and said, "Hey, we realized that one of your previous, you ordered a big order from us, and the driver forgot to give you something, so we're going to issue you a refund for $20, and we're going to give you a $15 Walmart card." Because the guy had stolen some of my stuff meant for me. And then Owen kept saying her name was Owen over and over and over again in that conversation. She's like, "My name's Owen." And she's like, "Well, my name's Owen." Just like getting it through to me. And I'm like, "I get it." But I don't flat out just say I get it. I'm like, "Okay." But I know that's something outside of reality that normal people would think is schizophrenic. But really, it's probably like an angel. Something that, or like a game developer or a handler or something. I don't know. But the universe created a return when I asked for a return from this horrible, all the shit that went through because of people with Owen in their name. And then Owen gave me a bunch, like a gift, a blessing. That helped me get what I'm going to need. I got a bunch of eggs. Tortillas, chips. I know I got bread instead of tortillas, and I didn't get chips. I got cheese. Cheese, bread, eggs, and spices and sauce and water. So I got stuff that's going to heal me and give me what I was looking for, the healing from this trauma through fasting and getting it out and then harmonizing. And then the person that sent me the survey about how was Owen was someone named Heather. And Heather's been over and over and over and over again. And then if you look at Total Drama Island, which I mentioned at the start of this, and you look at the characters' names, the host is an Irishman named Chris or Christ, the 33 Irish. And then we had Owen, Heather, and the archetypes of those people. Really, like through high school, I got to see that like people were really heavily influenced by that show where I'm from, where nobody really hung out. I don't know what kids were doing back then because I stayed completely alone in my house, where I was in Section 8 on rollerblades just riding around in circles for hours. Just this one like small space with a little jump. I would jump off the sidewalk and then rollerblade just in circles. But I heard that kids my age back then, like 9, 10, 11, they were hunting, fishing, four-wheeling, dirt biking. They all had play dates where their parents would get 6 of them together, and the 6 kids would all go to one parent's house every weekend and a different parent's house. They'd all have dinner together. They would pray together. They'd go to church. So I was really doomed from the start if I was trying to be anything other than this ancient god on the mountaintop, building with my Legos and changing the entire communities through my exalted, powerful place of creation. Like I was really meant, like I wasn't meant to be running around with the kids. I was meant to be older than all of them, wiser, and they were supposed to think I was crazy. Because now they'll randomly message me and be like, "I was wrong about you, man. I was wrong about you." The person who made up the name Crazy Casey, which they used to call me in 4th grade and beyond, she called me on a full moon in 2023 and said, "You were right. You are not crazy at all." And I was like, my dad's voice came through and was like, you didn't know any better. My family scared me into being on eggshells when it came to just resting. I've been scared into a compartmentalized version of myself that was bitter and angry and competent and intelligent, but I didn't get the love that I needed. And part of that meant that I wasn't aware of anything in spirit. So when I look back at my childhood and up to my first, even my last relationship, and now, I can really tell that my parents' influence on my personal identity had been attacked a lot as a child. Where I was put in a situation where I had to work off of the chaotic dysfunction of my family. And I couldn't just be myself because they would get, I don't know. In order to get my needs met, I couldn't stir the pot unless it was precise and specific. Like making my mom laugh. Or else they would get triggered and they'd start freaking out. Even if it was just one instance, that instance in your formative years really sticks. It's like going down the river and there's two options, and then they force you down one. You can't get back to the other one. But later I learned how to swim, and I still feel it. Like every day I have to reverse spell work. It's just a part of my daily routine now, is I can feel, if I don't, and I still really struggle. I'm not, like, it's not good at all. I don't know how to break free from it, but I just keep going. And I say I break free from it. I am broken free from it. They cannot influence me. They can't affect me. No matter what they try, I'm protected. They can't hurt what their problems are and their life and what they're trying to do to mine has no effect on my life, and it doesn't leave themselves. Anything they do goes back to them tenfold, and the stuff that's good gets converted to raw energy, refined, and comes back to me in the best way. And I just have to believe it, or else I'll become them, like what happens to my cousin. So that's me. It's been 40 minutes. I'm charging my devices because, like a retard, I put my Walmart order. Here's the loud noise. The loud noise to try to redirect all that positivity and reinstill the fear. But let's see if this will work. How long has this been muted? How long have you been watching while it was muted? Fuck. That was... Okay. Saw a tarot reading. I knew it was a tarot reading because as I'm scrolling, all of a sudden this giant bright light energy hits me, and I know that as I'm scrolling, the next video is going to be meant for me. And then it's the tarot reader holding up my favorite card, the Hierophant, the one that I associate with myself, my card. So I'm like, okay, and I click it, and it said, the woman said, you've been having trouble knowing what you're going to do next, and the universe is giving you something that will be confirmation for what you're supposed to do and to guide you in the right direction. So all of a sudden, then I got spammed. Go to McDonald's. Go to McDonald's. But I'm like, I don't have any money. I have just enough for a meal. And they're like, trust me, it's worth it. And then the woman says, you have an infinite wealth because you're a god, and the karma that you've done for everybody throughout all your lifetimes, you will not have to worry about spending money. Get rid of that. I wish you could see the way that they're showing me who you are. So I'm like, okay. So I go to McDonald's, and as I'm going to McDonald's, I get hit, look down. And I look down, and there's something on the ground. And I'm like, what is this? I pick it up, and it's a name card for a place that I'd been saying I should work at nights. Someone had come up to me after I had a dream of me working there at night. Somebody then, like a month later, came up to me and offered me a job there, but I didn't have a social security card or birth certificate, which cost like $300. But I've always been thinking about going there. And one time a guy came at me and bothered me a lot, and he works nights there. But I liked his shirt, and now I'm wearing the same shirt that guy was wearing. It is what it is. Maybe it's an opportunity for me to be more of myself that will inspire them and change them. But the name on that name card was the name of the album I'm working on. Savior. 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 Somebody's name was Savior, and they worked at this place. But also Savior. And then under it was a flattened bottle cap, I think. And everything was scratched off with the logo, and the logo was an arrowhead. So I had an arrowhead under Savior and the name card for the place I was thinking I should probably work at. What guided me to watch the video? How did the woman in the video from probably, it could be months ago, I don't remember how long ago they had uploaded that video. But how did that tarot reader that lives on an island off the coast of New Zealand know that today, and what guided the video through the internet to me today, and what inspired me to go to McDonald's and told me to look down to find that? What left that? And why me? Are my questions. And I mean, God is like an easy thing. But that's where I'm going to leave it. Because that should be enough proof of something. Later.